Okay, hello, and welcome back to Final Fantasy IV Super Nintendo Original, as you can tell, or it's still being called Part 2, to avoid confusion. Yeah, yeah. I know I mentioned it a lot, and longtime fans are already well aware of it, but you gotta laugh. They renamed this for American release Final Fantasy II to avoid confusion. Um, avoid? More like cause. Now there's two games called Final Fantasy II. Which one is which? Yeah. I mean, they had to know that sooner or later American gamers were going to find out about the NES Final Fantasy II. You know. Yeah. Anyways, just another case of something that seemed like a good idea at the time, but yeah. Now then, last time. Before another round of grinding, yeah, ready up to level 26. Found out that Rosa is here. Then we gotta go to some cave to kill some enemy. Yeah. But first we gotta get to that area. Of course, before I go anywhere, spend the night at the inn. Actually, no, that's right. I don't have to. I used a couple tents to restore HP and MP back to max after I stopped grinding last night or earlier this morning. Oops. Oh well. Okay. Now we go to a cave that's up here somewhere. I still say I miss Cecil's darkness ability. Hitting all enemies on screen, usually killing them, or at least severely injuring them. Granted, you lose like, what, 50 to 75 HP a time, but that's why you don't want to use it every time, but still, it was nice having that. And I still don't know why they removed it from our version of the game originally. But I'm glad they brought it back for most of the subsequent remakes, up to and including the most recent Pixel remaster. Well, the most recent remake of this game that I'm aware of, anyways. Now, we heard about some old man in here stopping people from going through. Better not get in my way, silly old dude. Okay, Rydia. Oh shoot, I never did see about upgrading her equipment, weapons, and armor. Oh, that's right, I did, but started commenting about how I miss the indication or whether or not it's a better one or a worse one than what you already had, and then ended up not buying anything anyways. Dang it! Oops. Oh well. Fine. That must be the old, up there on the top of the screen, barely visible. That must be the old guy we were told about back in town that's not letting people through. Little dirty word, better get out of my way. Not very effective. Of course, it is a level 1 spell, so what do you expect? I'm just surprised that level 1 spells could multi-target. They couldn't in the first game, unless you're talking about the harm spells for undead enemies. That always could, but the other elemental spells you needed level 2 or higher to multi-target in the first game. Even in the remakes, level 1 spell. Yeah. Out of my way, dude. Help you with what? Oh, yeah? Oh. Caller. Yeah. Summoner. You know, like that. Like one of the most often quoted scenes in Final Fantasy X. Stay away from the sun. Yeah. Uh-huh. That and Tidus laugh, that sequence, but... Okay. 12 or 120 for a second. I almost read that as 1200, but yeah. Now, again, I'm not gonna go out of my way to 100% the game getting every treasure chest, but when they're easily within reach like that, fine. But yeah. Otherwise, like I said in the first video and many times before in other games, whether it's Zelda or Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, regardless of the game, so often treasure chests are too far out of the way for very, very menial rewards. Big deal. I'm not impressed. Go all that way out of your way to get to the treasure chest. Get like 50 rupees, or sometimes not even that, more like 20, and then go all the way back. Yeah, no thanks. How about we just don't bother going to get the... Yeah. So I don't 100% the game. I mean, I'd like to, yes. But, yeah, there is that. Get that cursor off the screen. Out of the way. And again, I missed the maps, in-game maps on the upper right corner of the screen on the Pixel remasters. Damn it. Of course, you know, this was still the late 80s, early 90s. The heyday of draw your own maps, dude. Yeah. In-game maps, there is no such thing. Well, most of the time. And even when there was, like the original Zelda game, it was just a square grid map. Yeah, not very useful overall. I mean, it helped. It was better than nothing, but wasn't exactly like a screen cap map. Not that they could have done that on NES technology, but yeah. I mean, hey, I love the NES, don't get me wrong. By average of good games on it, it's still my favorite console of all time. But who are we trying to kid? It was never going to compete technologically with Sega Genesis. Yeah. Alright, where am I going here? Oh, that's just for that. Okay. Zombies already? I thought we didn't see them until later. What? Okay, did I just get... Last couple times I played this, did I just not get the right random battles? Or did they take out the possibility of seeing these guys in the Pixel Remaster? Seeing these guys here, that is. I mean, no kidding, I didn't... Last couple times I played this game, I didn't see these zombie enemies until the next dungeon after. Well, actually, 2 from now. As we're climbing up. Yeah, well. Spoiler alert for future story events, yeah. Yeah. Again, either I just got lucky or unlucky, depending on your perspective on such things, and just never saw them. Or for the Pixel Remaster, they took the possibility out. I didn't think you had zombies this early in the game. But as you just saw, yeah, cure spells. I don't think this is the game that started that cliche, but definitely helped popularize it. Rather than fire spells, use cure spells. Actually, I don't know if that was a thing in the first Final Fantasy game or not. I never tried. To be honest, seriously, to this day, I've never tried that in the first game. Whether it's the NES original, the Game Boy Advance remake, or the most recent Pixel Remaster. One way or the other, I've just never tried that in the first game. I don't even know if it works there. Oh, more of these guys. Oh, that's right, she don't have fire spells yet. I forgot about that. Okay. Venom, or Bio. Okay, it works a lot better than that in the remaster, but okay, fine. Tella, you suck. So do I. What the hell? Okay. What? Rydia just did 15 times more damage than I... Okay, whatever. Of course, the reason why this is going on gets explained later, but... Why my physical attack suddenly sucks does get explained in-game dialogue a little later, but... around the time that you would normally see zombie enemies. Oh, can't go through that little... Okay, that's graphically misleading. I think you could go one more square pixel over. Huh. Whatever, game. Wait a minute, that... Oh, never mind, I see. Never mind, I'm a blind idiot moron. Yeah, that's better. 1 damage. 1 point of damage. I guess Cecil just can't do anything against zombies. Yeah. Oh well. Fine. Dang it, I hate that. You get that feeling like you're about to sneeze. So you grab a Kleenex or something to wipe your nose, and then nothing. False alarm. Thanks a lot, sinuses. Or even worse, nothing happened, so you put the damn paper down, and then all of a sudden, achoo! Yeah. What an interesting conversation I just started, eh? Excuse me. Sorry. Alright. Oh, I hate that. Come on. Stay highlighted there. Stupid program. Not highlighted, you can't move. Okay. Either potions are actually in this game. Yeah, chronologically, the American introduction to this item, since they were not in the original version of the first game. I mean, yes, they've been put into all of the remakes. Well, at least the Game Boy Advance remake and the more recent Pixel remaster, anyway. I can't remember if they had either potions in the PS1 remake of the first game or not. I only briefly played that game. That version of the game. So on the PS1, the first Final Fantasy game wasn't my preferred choice of game for that series. 7 was, and still is. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, but when I think of Final Fantasy games on the PlayStation 1, Final Fantasy 7 is the game that instantly comes to my mind. Not any of the first 6 before it. Of course, Final Fantasy 3 never did get a PS1 remake, or a Game Boy Advance one for that matter. Like I said the other day, it didn't get brought to America until the DS in 2006. For whatever reason, I still don't know, but yeah. I mean, it couldn't have been because of the job class system, because if that was the case, well, Final Fantasy V wasn't either right away, but it was, for Game Boy or for PS1, along with Final Fantasy VI as an anthology, and was for the Game Boy Advance as well. So Final Fantasy III not getting an American release until the DS. The job class systems couldn't have had nothing to do with it. Our Final Fantasy V would have been overlooked the same way. I mentioned that because that's what somebody tried. That was the explanation somebody tried to give me as to why 3 got overlooked for both the Game Boy Advance, or both the PS1 and the Game Boy Advance. Well, all of the other 5 of the first. Oh, it's because of the job. I don't think so, dude. Final Fantasy V had that too. Hello. Try again. Strike 1. Care to try for strike 2 and 3? Almost brought up Dragon Quest III, but that's a completely different company. Well, at least at the time it was. By today's terminology, you'd say Dragon Quest was the other half of today's Square Enix, but Enix. But yeah, there's that game too. Dragon Quest III also had job classes, and that whole mechanic. In fact, I think, at least amongst the games I've ever played, it was the earliest one to have that idea, to have that mechanic of changeable and upgradable job classes and abilities you learn through them. I mean, granted, I've never played any of those early RPGs like Ultima or Wizardry or Might and Magic or any of them. But oh yeah. Again, at least for us here in America, another mechanic that was introduced in this game. In-dungeon save points. The first game didn't have that, although it sure would have been nice. But no, not even in the more modern recent remakes did the first game have this idea. Save points in dungeons. And to be fair, the more recent remakes, it wouldn't have been so necessary. But in the NES original, where you didn't have either potions, a place to use a 10th item to restore your magic and save your game mid-dungeon, would have been divine, especially for the final level, as long and lengthy and milked as it was, having to refight all 4 of the main elemental bosses again. Oops, sorry about that. Not used to having to worry about this since last few times I've replayed this game. Haven't had to worry about slowly paging through the dialogue to give people watching the video a chance to read it. Just, yeah. I mention that a lot, by the way, because that's one of the major gripes I have with the NES original of the first Final Fantasy game. Yeah. No either potions. Black Mage runs out of magic spell charges, which he's going to, especially in those later and longer dungeons. Yeah. He's basically useless. At least until mid-game when you could get that cat claw weapon for him. Then he could at least do a little damage physically, but... And all because they couldn't bring in either potions. Problem remedied with all of the remakes. Yeah. Just that one simple addition made the game so much better. And don't, by the way, give me your crap about strategy. Screw you. Since one is limiting, never mind. Have it your way. But I disagree. Limiting your inventory doesn't make for good strategy. That's just being cheap. Like in all early Dragon Quest games, you only had, or even the aforementioned first Final Fantasy game, NES original, 4 spots for armor, 4 spots for weapons. Which were going to get filled up, armor, shield, helmet, there you go. Whereas in all of the recent remakes, almost limitless inventory space. So yeah, that's not good strategy, that's just cheap game design. Give me more inventory space and shut the bad word up. And it's not even just older games. Even Etrian Odyssey series games that are only 19 years old here in America, the first one having come out in 2007 on the Nintendo DS. You only have inventory spots for 60 items. Really? in a game from 2007. Which middle finger do you want, right or left? That limited inventory space was bad enough in games from the 80s and 90s, but in a game from 2007, again, which middle finger do you want, my right one or my left one? Which one do you want flying in your face? Oh, they're... Man, for being a water dungeon, you think ice spells would work a lot better. I mean, granted, I am multi-targeting. I don't know if this game does that formula of taking a base number and dividing the damage amongst how many enemies you're targeting. You know, 100 points amongst 4 enemies, 25 points each enemy. I don't know if this game does that or not, but... How about lightning spells? Okay, that's better. By the way, 197 MP for Rydia, and only 90 for Tella. And that's another thing, by the way. Why is it Tella's MP never increases, even though he does gain, unlike your secondary party member in Mystic Quest, the game I just finished the other day, where the secondary party member never does gain a single point of experience, let alone level up. Here, Tella does gain experience and can level up. Some of his stats do go up with each level up, but his MP never, ever, ever at any point in the game ever goes above 90, not even to 91, 1 point more. Why is that? And apparently the developers like that because they never changed that, not even in the most recent Pixel remaster. His MP is deadlocked at 90, eternally. Why? Making him virtually useless, especially when you get later in the game and you get like Fire 2 and Ice, Fire 2 and Fire 3 spells that take like 15 points. Meaning you can cast them 4 times. Really? He's frickin' useless. Completely and utterly useless. Unless you have a steady supply of either potions, that is. Yeah, just another one of the things that, you know, used to annoy the hell out of me back in the day when I was playing through this game for the first time, just after it came out, late '91. Why doesn't he ever? His other stats go up, but not his MP. What? Why? Explain yourself, developers. Hey. Cure. All right. Really? It's already almost 30 minutes? God dang. Okay. Oh, I can't go down there anyway. Okay, never mind. no cave there? Thought there was. Okay, it tells you there. Since they never tell you how much MP you have on your main screen there, it just has your maximum hit points versus your current. You know, Rydia's still at full health, 512 of 500. You'd think that'd be MPs or HP slash MP, but no, of course not. That'd make too much sense. Really, game? 2 steps. Oh, goody, these things. Okay. How well does... Actually... How well does that work? Wow. Damn. They really freaking improved how useful that spell is in the remaster. Holy crap. Unless I just haven't used it on the right enemies. Because in the remaster, that spell is so useful. Get used to having it, then suddenly you don't, like, oh, dang it, I missed that. Anyways, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.